Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's class on leveraging your local market data with MarketQuest. Now, before we get started, there are a variety of disclaimers that I want to make sure that you are aware of. A lot of the very important reminders that you can see now on the screen. Additionally, I do want to point out or remind you all to make sure that you are reviewing the requirements in your local area with your broker, including anything related to non-essential business and telemarketing to consumers. Please note that the tools and programs mentioned in today's demonstration are entirely optional and ultimately just discuss best practices for your consideration. Okay, so in today's demonstration, we are going to be covering the MarketQuest application. MarketQuest is a reporting platform that ultimately intakes MLS transaction data and uses that to generate insightful reports with relevant analyses of the real estate market. This really easy to use tool really allows you to position yourself as the local market expert with your sphere, utilizing elements such as our #1 market claims, market position reports, market trends reports, market snapshots, and custom market reports. And please note that all of the reports are also going to be available in a variety of different formats that can be used for print and/or digital advertising. Now, in today's live demonstration, we will be providing you with an overview of the entire MarketQuest platform, where we will review each available asset. I'll go ahead and make sure that we're demonstrating how to generate and utilize all of these assets. And with that said, let's go ahead and let's get started. You can find the MarketQuest tile on MyCBDesk by going to mycbdesk.com and logging in with your Coldwell Banker login credentials. Now, once you've logged into Desk, you're going to look for this MarketQuest tile. You can do so by scrolling through your entire desk screen, and just be mindful to make sure that you are opening the Show All option in case you don't see it immediately. Additionally, it may be hiding under this Add App section, so you can always click that to see if MarketQuest is available for you to add to your main screen from the Add App area. But you can always also use the search bar at the top of the page to search for any application, including MarketQuest, and easily access it that way as well. Now, once you've found the MarketQuest application in your desk, you're going to go ahead and click to open it, and it's going to take you to a screen somewhat like what you're seeing on mine now. Now, please note that you will, if you are coming into MarketQuest for the first time, be asked to confirm your MLS affiliation. If you happen to be a member of multiple MLSs, please note you will have the option to select which one you want to be your default or your primary MLS, and at any time you will have the option to change between your MLSs. You can toggle, as I mentioned, at any time. But again, if you are a member of multiple MLSs, you are only able to select one MLS at a time. For everyone else, though, again, once you've confirmed your MLS once, you should not have to make any changes there again. I also additionally want to note that some metros do have combined MLS data fees, which are named after the entire metro. And those can be selected in addition to any of your singular MLS affiliations as well. Now, immediately below your MLS selection, you'll notice from the MarketQuest main dashboard that you can see a variety of different asset reports that are available for you to choose from. There are exactly 5 available, and these available assets are #1 claims, which will generate a #1 claim report for Coldwell Banker at a brand, a brokerage, or an office level for your desired criteria. We also have market positions, which will display the share of the market that is captured by the top 5 major brands, brokerages, offices, or agents within your desired criteria. Next, we have market trends, which compile a comprehensive report showing the market trend data of the last 36 months, or approximately 3 years, in a selected area within your desired criteria. And this will also include an overview of common data points, as well as trend graphics based on number of sales, average sales price, price per square foot, inventory, and much more. Next, we have the market snapshots, which display a monthly view of 5 statistics in the real estate market. These stats can be selected from a list of 12 common data points and are compared with the previous 3 months average or the same time period 1 year prior. And then our very last report type is custom market reports. And these will provide you with customized detailed statistics about the real estate market, combining 2 data points of your choosing to show up to the last 24 months data and trends simultaneously. So that's a quick overview of the 5 different report types that are available within MarketQuest. But now I want to go ahead and demonstrate how to generate these assets. So we're going to start in the exact order of the reports as I read them, and we're going to start with number 1 claims. To access it, you're just going to click on that number 1 claims icon. And as you can see here, a few number 1 claims automatically pull up. By default, the system is going to automatically show you all number 1 claims in your selected MLS area. Now, that's a lot of claims to run through. In my case, that's over 3,000 claims. So in order to narrow down your results, you have the option to utilize filters. So this left side panel will allow me to narrow down my results. The very first way that I can narrow my results is by utilizing search locations. So we can select preferred filters, again, starting with our locations, and there are 2 ways to narrow down my location. The very first is by the search bar, which actually is very easy to utilize. You just simply type in the name of the area that you're looking for, and you'll see results will automatically populate, and you just check the box for whichever area you want to automatically select. Please note that if you are searching for an area where you may not be number 1, when you add that area to the report, it may show an error message or show red, letting you know that you are not number 1 for that area. Go ahead, find somewhere where we are not number 1. So you can see here, Los Angeles is highlighted in red. And when I hover over it, it lets me know that we do not have any number 1 claims for Los Angeles. However, Newport Beach, which I also selected, came through gray, and we did have number 1 claims for Newport Beach. Now, in addition to searching your locations, you can also simply select locations based on a checkbox list. So immediately below my search bar, you can see location filters here, where I can scroll through a list of, in this case, counties, cities, or zip codes to select whichever area I want. And you'll notice in this case, as I scroll through my list, some areas are grayed out. And when I hover over them, they mention that the location does not have number 1 claims, whereas other areas will be fully in black ink, and they will allow me to check or select them. So when you are using the location filters checkboxes, just be mindful that you may not be able to select every area that you want. And the reason for that is that there is not a number 1 claim for that area. Now, once you've selected your location, whether by the search bar or through the list, you can also add additional report filters. Now, before I select any here, you'll notice that by default, none are selected. And what that means is if I do not select any additional report filters, the results will show me all number 1 claims for my selected locations. Now, in this case, for Newport Beach, I have 96 different number 1 claims, which is far too many for me to scroll through. So I do want to go ahead and add some additional report filters. So you'll see here, our options are transaction side, and I have the option between total, list, or buy side. I'm going to go ahead and say total. Another report filter option we have is sales type. So do we want to be number 1 by units or by volume? Next filter criteria is time period. Do I want to narrow down by last year, last quarter, or year-to-date data? Next option is price range. And here you can see we have all prices or anything that's over $1 million only. And then the very last filter is to view by, and we can choose if the reporting and the number one claim is classified by brand level, brokerage level, or office level. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to simply add the filters for transaction side, for sales type, and for price range. And I'm going to leave time period and view by as is. At the very end, you'll see this blue button to update. And as soon as I do that, it does immediately narrow down my results. So you can see here, I've been able to narrow down my results to only 9 number one claims to choose from. If I wanted to narrow this down further, I could do so by simply selecting any additional filters I want to choose. So maybe I want to select brand. I'm able to do brokerage. If I select brokerage, you'll see here now I have 3 number one claims that I can choose from. So again, the filters are just allowing us to narrow our results, so it's more easy to select and find the number one claim that you want to share. Now, once you've input your selected filters, your preferred filters, you'll always have the option to reset your filters. In doing so, we'll clear out any filters that you've already input and let you start fresh all from the beginning again. So you see I have the option to reset both my location and my report filters. For the purpose of this class, I'm not going to do that, but I did want to point that out for you. Now, once you've applied your preferred filters and you're happy with your results, you'll notice that there may still be multiple reports to choose from. So in this case, we have 3 to choose from. And to determine which report you want to use, you're able to review the preview data on each tile. So you're analyzing the various number one claims before actually opening them. And so you're able to see a lot just from these tiles here right now. The very first thing that you'll notice when you're reviewing the data is that it outlines the report criteria that we pre-selected. So the location, in this case, Newport Beach, the group or view by category, so in this case, brokerage, my time period of, in this case, last year, the tag for only 1 million plus property price range. And then immediately below that, you'll notice that you'll see in this case, the amount of volume or units, if I were to have selected units, that we are ahead of the second or the next brand, brokerage, or office. So we are number 1 in these categories, but in the last year category, we were $57 million in total volume ahead of the next competitor. In addition to that, you'll see there's an actual live graph preview of the top 5 results. And so this actually allows us to see visually how far ahead we are compared to the second, third, fourth, and fifth competitors. So if I'm visually looking here at my last year data, you can see that my amount of total volume that we are showing ahead of the next, or the second in this case, competitor is 57 million, which is a much larger number than, in this case, 34.62 million, which is our year-to-date value, right? But if I look at my graph preview, visually, we are much further ahead of the second competitor year-to-date than we were last year. And so being able to see all of this data and analyze it allows you to decide which report is the best one for you, which one you would prefer to share. For the purposes of today's session, I'm going to go ahead and select the center one for our last quarter data for Newport Beach. And once you've selected one, you simply just click on the tile from that home page. Now you'll notice once I've opened it up, it's giving me a quick summary of the report in a larger format. Obviously, it's letting us know that we are number 1 in this market. It's also letting us know the total percentage of market share that we have for the criteria that was selected. And it is reiterating how much we are leading by. So in this case, $66.1 million of total volume. And below that, you'll see we can actually see now who the top 5 competitors are. So in addition to us, we have Compass, Certerra Properties, Arbor Real Estate, and Berkshire Home Services for California. And we're able to see respectively the total volume for the selected criteria for each of those different competitors. Now, after we've fully analyzed and we've reviewed our report, it's time to go ahead and share it. There are a number of ways that you can actually choose to share the number 1 claims report. And so to view your options, you can simply select this blue Share Report button in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll see we have 4 options showing here. The very first is to preview a website that is automatically generated for that number 1 claim. And as you can see, this generates a URL that I can then take and share however I see fit. And this URL includes all of that data for our number 1 claim, including the full graph, and it's automatically going to be branded to you, or in this case, me, with all of my contact information and social links. In addition to previewing that website, we also have the option to share directly to social media, and we have 5 different options for the direct social sharing. You could share directly to Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, or you can simply get a copy of that website URL to share in a different format, however you see fit. For the purpose of today's class, I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick share to Facebook so you can see what that looks like. If you are not already logged into your Facebook, you will be asked to log in, but you can see here now it's taking me to simply add in my post caption and share immediately. So it's very easy direct social share built in to the number 1 claims. Now our next share option is the ability to export as a PDF. You'll notice that there are a few different options for what I want to customize for my PDF. The primary options are whether I would like to be landscape or portrait format. And you'll actually be able to see if I switch over to portrait, the preview on the left side does automatically update. So this will show you a live preview of what is going to be downloaded. In addition to the format, the orientation of the PDF, you're also able to choose to hide your own information if for any reason you don't want your branding section included. I can simply uncheck that box and the entire branding section contact information area is removed. Additionally, we can choose to hide the competitor names, and this is actually a very commonly selected option. So rather than showing that Compass was number 2, we can uncheck display competitor and it'll simply list all other competitors as a number instead. And then you'll notice we also have the option to exclude brand logo. Please be mindful that many metros do require a brand logo for your states on your marketing pieces. If your state does not require this, of course, you can remove it. If your state does, just be mindful that you will need to keep that brand logo included on your marketing pieces. And once you're done selecting whatever export options you'd like, you have the option to simply click this export button, which will then download your PDF immediately. Okay, and you'll see here, my file has immediately downloaded, and there it is. Now, if we go ahead and go back to our share report option, we're going to click on the very last option here, which is email. And you will be able to email to any email address the number 1 claim that you've selected. And you can add up to 3 recipients. You do have to input an email address for every single recipient in order to add another, but you can add up to 3 email recipients at a given time to send that report to. And I'm going to go ahead and send myself a copy, which I'll show you in a moment here, so you can get a preview of what that will look like. Now, in addition to all of these sharing options, We also have marketing assets that are available for you to share. So if you scroll to the very, very bottom of the page, you'll notice there's this option to download marketing assets. And we have two different types of number one assets that can be downloaded. The very first, the number one image, simply highlights that we were number one. And this is available for social media in 3 different size formats: wide, which is intended primarily for Facebook; tall, which is intended more so for stories on Instagram or Facebook; and square, which was intended more for Instagram posts. And all you have to do is simply click on the size that you want, and it will immediately download that image for you to then take and post wherever you see fit. Now, the next option for your marketing asset is the number one graph. So rather than simply denoting that we are number one, the graph option includes the actual breakdown of the top 5 competitors. It includes that into the graphic. Now, these graphics are available for the same sizes for social media. So again, wide, tall, or square, but this time they do include that graph. Now, in addition to social media images, you also have the option for either graphic to download the image for a HomeSpotter Boost digital ad. So if you are going to utilize these number one claims for a HomeSpotter Boost ad, you can do so, and the image can be downloaded for both web and Facebook formats. If that's a route you're interested in going with, or something that you're interested in doing, please feel free to reach out to your local marketing specialist. Now, for the sake of today's session, I'm going to go ahead and download a square graph image and just show you what the process looks like of posting that. Once you've downloaded your social media graphic, you can simply go over to whichever platform you would like to share that to. So in this case, I'm going to go over to Instagram, and I'm going to click Create, Post, and I can easily select and upload it from the downloads of my computer. Really easily, you'll see it's right there. And I then have the option to add in whatever caption I want and post to my Instagram, or again, Facebook or your LinkedIn or whatever application platform you'd like to post to. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to mention, the last thing I want to note is that you'll notice there's a background image for these marketing assets. And right now it's the Starry Night with a house. Now, these images can be changed to show different images on your reports. There is an image gallery that's available for all of your metros, for all of you. And so you have the ability to kind of select another option for an image if you prefer to not use the Starry Night sky with the house. But each region does have their own selection of 12 localized images to choose from. So everyone's going to see different images on their own account, but where you're going to access it is by clicking your headshot in the upper right, and then you're going to go to My Settings. And if you scroll down to the bottom right here, you'll notice this background image area. And from here, I have a little camera icon. If I click on that, it's going to pull up the full image gallery that shows all of the images that are available for me to choose from. And each one has the option for me to view it large, where I can choose to set it as my default image, or I can return to my gallery. And from here, I can hover and select any image to set that as my default. Once you've changed your default image, you'll notice it will automatically reflect here in your settings. And if you go back to your number one claims or whatever report you were looking at, I'm just going to choose a random one really quickly here. You'll notice that when you scroll down, again, all of those marketing assets are now updated to show that newly selected background image. Now, you can't change your image at any time, but just a pro tip, be sure to change your image before generating your reports, as the reports will reset the filter criteria if you leave and come back like I just did. So you'll notice obviously that I left, came back, and all of my Newport Beach narrowed down results all reset to show all data again. That's because, again, the filters do reset if you leave the report. Okay, that's all for our number one claim. So we're going to go ahead and skip and jump over to our next report type, which is market positions. Now, with our market positions, as a reminder, this one allows you to generate a report of the top 5 performers in an area based on the criteria that you select. Now, you can simply click on market position from this left side menu if you're already in a report, or if you're back on the home page, you're going to simply click on the market position tile from the home page. As mentioned with our previous report, when no data is selected, the default is to be pulling reporting for the entire MLS locations. And in this case, we do have some default report filters, which we'll go over in a moment. But you can, again, narrow your results by filtering down various criteria filters. The number one way to do so is by selecting your preferred locations. But this time, although very similar to our number one claims with both the search bar and our location filters, you'll notice that we have a few more options for locations to choose from. So we now see the option for MLS area, school districts, and subdivision as well. Now, the functionality of selecting an area is going to be the exact same as it was for our number one claims. And simply scroll through and select a zip code if I'd like to, or I can go to my search bar and I can type in the name of the area that I'm looking for to select my preferred area. In addition to our locations, we do have additional report filters, just like number one claims. However, our report filters do vary for market positions. You'll notice the very first report filter that is showing is property type. And by default, that does include single family homes, townhomes, and condos. But you do also have the option to include multifamily, mobile, commercial, or land, lot, farm. Additionally, I can deselect any properties that I don't want. So maybe I only want single family homes. So you have the flexibility to choose what property types. Additionally, we have very similar filters to our number one claims with transaction side. We can choose between total, list, or buy side, sales type of units versus volume, and then we can also choose our date range. I can say I want to do last year, last quarter, year to date, or custom date range if I wanted to. And then I can also input a price range if I would like. And then our very last primary filter here is the view by category. So again, very similar to number one claims, but you'll notice here that in addition to brand, brokerage, and office, we also see the agent option. Now you will notice for our filters, our defaults, again, were to include single family townhomes and condos for total transaction size, so both list and buy side combined. For volume, last quarter was our default, with no price range included at the brokerage level. But again, all of this can be changed to whatever criteria you would like. And if your market area does have a lot of REO properties, you can also choose to narrow down your results to only include REO properties as well. And then once you're all done inputting your search criteria filters, you're going to go ahead and simply click update, and the report will automatically update. And so you'll notice here in our market position report, the area that I selected of San Diego County is showing Coldwell Banker as the third competitor. So we're number 3. We're not number 1, but we're still in the top 5 here. And because we're still in the top 5, we're able to see that we're highlighted here in blue. So we stand out. We know exactly where we stand at our brokerage level. Now, if I want to look at another type of report, I can do so by simply going in, changing my location, Los Angeles. And you'll see if I click update, again, it will automatically update my report. And again, I can change my filter criteria as I see fit continually. Now you'll notice this time, the report that I generated does not show us in the top 5. And so that's why we're not seeing any blue in the top 5. This time, though, it is mentioning where we are. So we actually happen to be ranked for number 14 for this set of criteria that I input. which is equaling only 1% of our total market share and has us 43 million below the number one position. Now, again, if I switch back to, I'm going to go back to San Diego County. We go back to San Diego County here. If I move back to an area where we're a little bit higher, you'll see those numbers all vary. So in this case, we are number 3, which is 6% of the total market share, and we're down 932 million from that number one position. Now, in addition to analyzing the report utilizing these stats at the very top of the page, you'll also see your graph, which will obviously give you a live representation of the top 5 competitors, whether or not we do stand within the top 5. You'll notice for the graph, we have a header which summarizes the selected filters. It also shows the names of our top 5 competitors, whoever they are, below the graph. And again, if we are in the top 5, we will be highlighted in blue so that we stand out. There's also an optional feature here where you can choose to change our top 5 competitors here to show by percentage of total market share rather than actual volume dollar amount in this case. So if I turn this toggle on, it's shifting everyone to what percentage of the market share they are. So that is an optional feature that will always be available. And at the very, very, very bottom, we also have what we call the market position data table. And in this table, it's a detailed report for the top 5 groups that include, as you can see, units sold, the units percent of market share, our volume sold, and then the volume percentage of market share. So regardless of what list side, transaction side, or sales type we selected, all of the data is going to be available in this market position data table at the bottom of your report for reference. Now, once you've fully analyzed your report, you're probably going to want to go ahead and share it. And you'll notice when you're ready to share that generated report that there are a variety of ways to do so, which are different from the number one claims that we just saw. So if you note that the export sharing button here in the upper right is now, instead of saying share report, it mentions export report. And that's because we only have the 2 options here to export as PDF or email. The export as PDF option, very, very similar to number one claims, allows you to toggle between the landscape or portrait orientations, allows you to choose whether or not you want to include your agent information, whether or not you want to include the brand logo, display the competitor names. So all of that is the same as what we saw with number one claims. The main difference here for our market position report is also the new option to choose whether or not the data table at the bottom is also included. So if I uncheck that, it will automatically remove that data table from the bottom of the report. And again, once you've selected whichever options you'd like to customize your PDF, you can simply hit that export button and it will download the PDF file. Additionally, we also have that email option that we did with number one claims. And again, this functions the exact same way that you saw with the number one claims, where you can add up to 3 recipients with direct email address in here. And while we're on the topic of the emails, I do want to go ahead and full open that example of the number one claims email for you. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that over here. So you'll see for the number one claims emails, it comes through from you. So in this case, it came from myself, Alyssa Mahoney. And the report has quick data that's automatically branded to you and allows the recipient to go ahead and click on a link to view the full report. Okay, now in addition to exporting as a PDF and emailing the reports, you also have the option to download those marketing assets like we did with number one claims. And again, whichever background image we've selected in our settings will apply to these marketing assets as well. For our sizes and our image types, these are going to be identical to number one claims, and that we have an image that simply highlights that we ranked for our selected criteria. So in this case, we ranked number 3, whereas the graph will also include the full graph breakdown. And again, these are available in a total of 6 different sizes, 3 different sizes for social media, and 2 different sizes for HomeSpotter Boost ads, if you would like to use the data for HomeSpotter ad. Okay. With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our third report type, which is market trends. With our market trends, again, this is the most detailed, comprehensive market data report that we have available within MarketQuest, and you'll see why in a short moment. But as we've done with previous reports, we're going to start by selecting the various locations or location where you would like the data to be pulled from. And you can do so whether using the search bar or by using those location filters and checking certain areas. I personally find it a lot easier to use the search location search bar. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once you've selected your area or areas, then you can go ahead and select your report filters. Now, our report filters are going to be very similar to our market positions. So you'll notice here we have our property types, which do default to include single-family townhomes and condos. We have a price range that can be input manually. And our main difference here is that the only other filter is time period, and our time period is selected at a monthly basis. It will default to the last completed month, but you can select any month and year in the past to choose from. So in this case, because we are still in March, I can only select up through February. But once April 1st comes around, I will see March as an option to select as well. Once I've input my filter criteria, just like all other reports, we're going to simply click that update button to generate the report based on the criteria that I've input. Now, once the report is generated, all of the past 36 months trend data is broken down into 8 different informative tables and graphs. And so you're going to want to be able to analyze exactly what you're seeing. Now, at the very top here, we have our overview table, and this compares common data points of the selected month's data to the year-to-date data, the past month data, the past 3 months average data, and the same month the previous year. So you can see all of that broken down. By default, the unit of comparison is an arrow, either up, down, or a kind of dash to show no change. But you can choose to show that unit of comparison as a percentage instead, or you can choose to show the actual value. And so these options are available here in the upper right, just above your overview table. Now below that, all of the subsequent graphs will compare the last 36 months data, or about 3 years, and highlight the same month in previous years for a variety of different data points. So our very first one you'll see is average and median sales price. And of course, the same month previous years all have these little circles to denote that it is the same month in previous years. If I move on to the next report, again, I see those circles that are showing same month previous year. For this report, we are gray bars instead of blue, again, highlighting the same month previous years. And you'll notice every different graph also includes a short summary that explains exactly what you're seeing over those last 3 years and what the trends are showing. Now, when you're ready to share whatever report you've created, sorry. Now, when you're ready to share whatever report you've created, you'll have the option to click the blue Share Report button in the upper right. And there are two ways to share. You can do so by exporting as a PDF or as an email. The email option, again, is going to be just like our number one claims in our market positions, where you'll have the option to input 3 recipient email addresses to email directly. And for our export PDF option, you'll notice this is much more highly customizable in comparison to our other PDFs. Just like all the others, though, you will see a preview on the left and all of your options on the right. We see an option to select between portrait and landscape. We have an option to choose what is or is not included. So do I want to include a cover page? And so you'll see here, this is my cover page that includes that background image that I have selected for my account. It includes all of my contact information and social media links. And it also includes all of the filter criteria that I chose and input for my report. Now, if I want to exclude that, I simply uncheck, and you'll see that the live proof removes that page entirely and goes immediately to start the report with the overview table. The next option that I have to exclude is the agent information. So if I deselect that, you'll notice the bar that was at the top of the page with my information is automatically removed. And then immediately after that, you have the ability to choose exactly which of those 8 informative tables and graphs you actually have included in your PDF. Maybe you only want to include the overview table and the average and median sales price. You can choose to deselect all the others and only have those 2 selected for a single page design. Or maybe you want to include 4 total reports, you can do so. And again, you'll see that the live proof is automatically updating. And so now I have 2 pages worth of graphs and tables that I can now export to. So again, you have a lot of customization available here to choose what is or is not included on your market trends PDF report. Lastly, you'll see the option to download data. This, when selected, will export a detailed Excel or CSV document that includes all of the last 36 months data broken up by month. So you simply click on the option and you'll be able to choose if you would like this data downloaded in either Excel or CSV format. With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our 4th report type, which is market snapshots. And this is the most popular report and includes a quick snapshot of your filtered market data. So we are going to start by filtering our report filters, just like every other one. Similar to market positions and market trends, our locations do include county, city, zip, MLS area, school district, and subdivision options. But again, you can simply use your search bar to immediately select or type in an area that you want to pull data for. And then we can also utilize different report filters to narrow our results even further. Now, our filters are going to be very similar to the market trends we just saw. So we have our property type that we can include. And again, by default, that includes single family, townhome, and condo. We can also select our time period. And this is a little bit different from all of our other reports. You'll notice we have a monthly selection available, which will allow us to select any month data. And so as long as it's occurred, we can select it. And that will default to the current month, or you can include a custom date range. And then immediately below that, we have the option to select or input a price range as well. Now, I do want to point out that for our time periods, when our market snapshot is generated, it will show trends for our certain data points. And those trends are going to be based on two different things depending on the time period you've selected. If you've selected a monthly time period, then the data will compare and default to the average of the last 3 months. If you input a custom date range, then the data will be compared to the same custom date range of the year prior. Once you've gone in and selected your preferred criteria, you're going to go ahead and simply click Update. And again, our report will automatically generate. As you can see, again, that selected new background image that we chose is automatically applying to this report as well. Now, when initially generated, your snapshot will display the number of properties sold, average sales versus list price ratio, average days on market, and average sales price per square foot. Mine is a little bit different. Mine has actually been changed. But you can edit those data points at any time. So if you click Edit Data Points, you'll notice you can deselect any data points you don't want to see, and you can add any data points that you do want to show. Once you've added or removed whatever data points you prefer, and just note that you can only add up to 5, you can simply hit Save. While we're here under the Edit Data Points section, though, I do want to point out you can see live values for the selected criteria and percent change for your selected criteria. So this is the actual information that will be showing on your snapshot. And you also have the option to choose to exclude or hide your agent information from the snapshot as well. So go ahead and check that box or uncheck that box and hit Save. And you'll see my information is now no longer on this graphic, but my data points have been changed to the 5 that I just selected. As a reminder, again, you can display no more and no less than 5 statistics of your choice, but you can change them at any time. And again, our trend percentages do show differently and are compared to different data points depending on the time period you selected. So again, for the monthly time period, the data trends and the arrows are in comparison to the average of the previous 3 months data. And for a custom time period, those trends are in comparison to the data of the same time period from the previous year. Now, once you've selected your preferred data points and filtered criteria and you're ready to share your report, you will go ahead and be able to share it in 2 different ways. So in the upper right, you see the Share Snapshot option. You'll see we have the option to download the report, and we can download in wide, which again is good for Facebook, tall, which is good for Facebook or Instagram stories, square, which is good for Instagram posts, and these are all image downloads. Or the last option is this PDF postcard download, and this will be sized for a jumbo 8.5 by 5.5 postcard size. And it will automatically download a PDF that can then be taken to any print vendor and used as the front of a postcard. In addition to our download options here, you also have the option to email, just like our last few reports. And again, you have a maximum of 3 recipients that you can email to at any given time. As a reminder, once you've downloaded a file, you can do whatever you see fit with it. In this case, our PDF, you can go ahead and take over to Express Docs or Corvact to print on the front of a postcard. Or if you want to, again, you can download the graphics and go ahead and take those to social media, take them anywhere like Instagram or Facebook and simply upload them. Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and hop over to our very last report type, and that is the custom market report. As a reminder, this report allows you to combine two different data points of your choosing to show the last 24 months trends simultaneously. Now, just like our market positions and market trends, we're going to go ahead and select our locations in our filter criteria. Again, we can use our search bar or we can do the location filters. And again, we have our wide variety of locations to choose from. So we can select by county, city, zip code, MLS area, school district, or subdivision. And once we select our area, go ahead and say Palm Springs. We can also choose to select our report filters. One thing I do want to note actually about our location filters before we jump into our report filters is that if multiple locations are selected, because we can select multiple locations, the various location data will simply be combined for the report. Now, under our report filters, you'll see the property type section. And again, just like all other reports, the default is to include single-family homes, townhomes, and condos. Our next section is time period, where we have the option to select a custom date range. Now, it will default to the last 12 months by date, and we are limited to 24-month periods. So once you have a end date input, you cannot select a start date that is more than 24 months prior from that end date. Our next filter criteria is price range. And again, you can add in any price range if you want to, or if you don't, simply skip over that and click update to generate your report. Now, once your desired filters have been selected, a report will be generated with the default data points of median sales price and average list price. Now, you can choose to customize the report further at this point by selecting the two different data points from the list of 20 plus different options to display simultaneously. So again, this defaults to median sales price versus average list price, but you can choose from any of these 20 plus data points. I'm going to scroll through the list here so you can kind of see them all. And once you've decided which one you want to include, I'm going to go ahead and select days on market. You'll notice the graph will automatically update. Now, whichever item you choose on the left side will reflect the left of the graph, so the left bars or lines. I'm going to go ahead and on the right side, I'm going to go ahead and choose, what do I want? Let me do sales versus list price ratio. So you can see here if I do sales versus list price ratio, again, if I have two bars, the left bars, so the darker blue in this case, are going to be whatever I selected as my left side data point, days on market. And the right bars, the lighter ones, are my right side selected data point, which is sales versus list price ratio. And you do have a key at the very bottom of the graph that really outlines exactly where and what we're seeing. Now, once you've selected your preferred data points, if you scroll down, you'll see we have a nice little table that outlines the last 24 months data, or sorry, 12 months data for the two data points that we selected. Additionally, right above that, we have two different options. We have this show trend line option that is automatically included, and that is for the specific graph. So if I were to uncheck that, you'll notice it removes the trend lines from the graph and leaves simply the bars. Or if I add it back, you'll see it adds these trend lines that could potentially be insightful or very indicative of the trends that are occurring. Depending on your graph, that may or may not be useful. So again, that is an option to deselect. Additionally, you also have the option to display all data, and when selected, the table at the bottom of the page will change to show all of those 20 plus data points over the last 12 months. So you can see the data for all of that immediately. So again, if I do deselect display all data, it's only showing the 2 data points that I have selected at the top. But if I check that box, it includes everything. Okay. Now, when you're done analyzing your report and you're ready to share it, we scroll to the top of the page, you'll notice we have a few different options here again. So if we want to start with our export button, we're going to click on that, and you'll notice that our option here is to export as PDF. And we have a few different customization options here for our PDF. So very similar to the market trends report, you'll see a cover page that you can choose to include or exclude. You have the option to include or exclude agent information. And you have the option to include or exclude those trend lines that we talked about a brief moment ago. And then lastly, of course, your orientation. So if you would like it to be a portrait versus a landscape-oriented report. And again, when you're done selecting all of your customization options, you're simply going to click export and the PDF will download. Now, in addition to the PDF export option, you also have the option to download data. If you click this blue download data option, very similar to our last reports, you have the option to choose between Excel or CSV format, and this will automatically download a detailed document that includes the last 36 months data for all of the data points, all of the 20 data points that we have selected. Now with that, that does bring us to the end of our live demonstration. Then I wanted to remind you all of our next available appointment service, where you can book a 20-minute solution-oriented virtual appointment with one of our over 100 marketers in as little as 2 business hours. You can book these appointments for support on a dozen of different core marketing tools at nextavailableappointment.com.